Hello Scorpio, welcome to your December 2017 reading. Thank you so much for being here. I come to you from the United States. I'm in Idaho visiting my mother, and I'm standing in my grandfather's old hobby shop office, which is why I have all these kind of planes and cars and everything around me. Let's go ahead and jump into your astrological highlight for the month. A few things according to Western astrology. Okay, we have Saturn moving into Capricorn, which we've been talking about all year. For you, this is happening in kind of an interesting part of the sky and not in a obvious place, I don't believe. I think it's going to be, because it's representative of your communications and the way you interact with people in your third house, it can give you a very reserved nature, and Scorpio can be very reserved anyway, which is why I kind of think that it won't necessarily be so obvious, but it might be a little bit, kind of always holding back, becoming a man or a woman of few words, but very purposeful as well. You can come off a little bit aloof. It's not bad, okay? It's just, I think when you say something, it's going to have more of a booming effect rather than like little flitty things, so there's more purposeful interactions with you. And you may even kind of stay away from superficial connections and stay away from just kind of the artificiality of life in general in terms of your social life. Now we have Venus transiting into Sagittarius, which rules your second house. I think this is a beautiful place. Venus loves to be in the second house, which is traditionally ruled by Taurus, so it's kind of coming home a little bit. And it's, I think you may have an elegance about you this month, or maybe more drawn to the elegant as well. There's a staying power of Venus here. So for those of you who are dating, it's going to be an interesting mixture of the Sagittarius theme of fun and adventurous and high-minded and very, very spiritual, connected with that deep, profound security that we get with Taurus, right? So I think that there's going to be potentially long-term relationships for some of you, and for those of you, a solidification of your current relationships. Now, be careful though, we also have a Mercury retrograde occurring in this exact same part of the sky. Now, this is going to lend itself to some miscommunications and misinterpretations, all right? So it's so important for all of us this month to be very clear and concise and to not leave room for miscommunication, all right, or, misunderstandings, and to also work to not be offended or to not take things the wrong way, so that everything can just remain peaceful, because that Saturn transit is tough enough as it is, and it's going to just like add to or lend itself to less chaos, if you will. Take everything in stride, keep an open mind as much as possible, don't jump to heated emotions right away. Just let the other person explain before you jump to assumptions or make conclusions, okay? I will also be introducing you to my new deck that I designed. I'll show you that when I introduce the reading. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next month. Bye. Hello Scorpio, welcome to your December reading. Thank you so much for being here. As I mentioned in the intro, I have my new deck, the Bali edition, which is a consolidation of images from my experience in Bali that I had this year. It's not for sale. It speaks to me in a very personal way. It's my own personal connection with my new perceptions on life, or whatever, however you want to describe it. Let's go ahead. Scorpio, Page of Cups coming out for you first. She's been making an appearance this month, I must say, for a lot of the signs. She's a representative of love. She's a representation of emotional fulfillment. She also represents the power of creation, and also the beginning of things. Now, I don't know if this is you being in a very vulnerable position. I think some of you are. I think some of you are feeling a little bit raw and therefore very withdrawn and feeling pulled back in some way. Some of you may have had new relationships begin recently. Some of you may have had new issues enter into your relationships. Could be romantic or other types of relationships, guys. And if you are experiencing something new, a new relationship or connection, this does tell me that there's just a little bit of surface, you know, it's just all still very much on the surface. There's not a lot of depth yet. So maybe you just was so recent, you know, I don't know. But if you're dealing with an issue or something that's come in or entered your relationships, again, it's still like, what I would say is it's too soon to tell. It's too soon. And the Star. Now, some of you may be dealing with an Aquarian. This is the card of Aquarius. We have the water bearer fountain there, okay? The Aquarian themes, right, or the star themes represents healing. Some of you may still be healing and trying to even maybe get back that sense of optimism that you may have once had. Maybe it kind of has been waning over the past year with a lot of the dramatic stuff that's been going on in the sky. And you do have, Scorpio, you do have not only a very genuine understanding of human nature, but you also do have a very optimistic viewpoint on love and the intensity that it can bring into your life. And you do experience love in such a spiritual way. And I'm wondering, because the star, the water being poured out, you know, the water representing the ether or representing blessings or cleansing. That's why it's associated with healing, right? That cleansing aspect of it. You are, in essence, kind of going through a little bit of a spiritual baptism, if you will, and you're sort of feeling refreshed. And I don't know if this Page of Cups situation has sort of breathed new life into you in some way, or you've just kind of put yourself in a situation where you're just feeling better and you are feeling more optimistic about love again, you know, or more optimistic about life in general and about the goodness of people. And, you know, I know that, Scorpio, you do enjoy the vulnerability of others, but when your vulnerability needs to come out, it can be very, very difficult. And there is vulnerability here on your behalf, but also on behalf of someone else. I feel that someone else has kind of even gone out on a limb. I don't know why I'm seeing that, but I feel like someone has gone out on a limb and is in some way contributing to your healing. And the moon, the star and the moon. Such dark cards, not bad, dark as in not illuminated. And the light sources are so much more dim than the sun, right? The moon, I always say, is like the big question mark of the tarot, where we just don't quite know what's going to happen. We don't quite know how this is going to go. You know, this card represents the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is the representative of the imagination, the subconscious, our dreams, you know, that undercurrent, the spiritual undercurrent that truly connects us all. You have deep spiritual stuff happening for you this month, really deep. You are... Sorry guys, my phone decided to ring. Normally I put it on Do Not Disturb. I forgot to do that. But anyway, so I'm talking about the depths of what you have. I think you're kind of being forced to uncover or to resolve things that have been hidden in that subconscious part of you. Interesting how she is illuminated by the sun, and I feel that she may either help you with that or give you an avenue or a channel through which to heal. She's becoming more and more important the more I'm kind of looking at this, because she does tend to bring with her growth and opportunity. But it is through these dark or dimly lit realms, the healing, and through the subconscious, or the illumination of the subconscious, if you will, in which you can really open up unexpected doors, you know, doors that you didn't even know existed. Someone said something to me earlier today. It's so weird. I'm not going to be able to repeat it verbatim, but I feel like it applies to you here. He said, you know, I've been kind of, I feel like I've been staring these options in the face, but I just didn't even know I was looking at them. I've been staring these issues in the face and I didn't know I was looking at them. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening is you've felt it, you've known it, but now you're aware of it. Well, the King of Cups, here you are, Scorpio, beautiful. I love it when I get the card that represents the people I'm reading for, and the Four of Pentacles. The King of Cups, I kind of really was very adamant about the King of Cups having shadows, you know, harsh lighting and shadows. I'm not a photographer, guys. These were just like whatever type of photos, but I needed the shadow element. And here we have it, right? We need it because that's who you are. You know, Scorpio is a water sign, but it's the water sign that doesn't have flowing water. It's like this deep pool, and the deeper and deeper you go, the blacker and blacker it gets. You're so comfortable there. You're so comfortable with that part of the human psyche that it almost doesn't even faze you. Even like me just kind of saying this, you're like, what? Like, I didn't, you know, what is she even talking about? But yet, if you and I were to have a real conversation and we were to sit down and talk about each other, you and I would both like get to the nitty-gritty of who this other person is like so quick, right? Because you're just so naturally inclined to, like, the light and the goodness of a person is defined by their darkness as well, right? And I think the shadows and the light here are so, like, just by happenstance, so critical. And here you are, I think, kind of walking into the shadow, the shadowy part of where you are. Now, it's not dark, it's not ominous, it's not bad. It's just a part of you that probably doesn't come out. It's your own vulnerability, okay? And for some of you, that can represent vulnerability in love, because Scorpio can be so it takes so much time for a Scorpio to fall in love, because they know how intensely they feel, you know? And Four of Pentacles, it's like everything you got, everything you have, you're not going to give it if it's not everything. Now, Four of Pentacles can be interpreted in so many different ways. I just go with it with the way that I initially feel. But let me give you a couple other options from which to choose. This can also represent a stubbornness, okay? A stubbornness to not let go, or to not be vulnerable, to not let someone in. Stubbornness to move forward. Maybe some of you are kind of looking that shadow in the face and being like, nope, not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm going to just kind of keep productive and keep doing what I'm doing and not deal with that. But I don't think you're going to have a choice. These are major arcana. They're inevitabilities. They are just overlying and major themes of what kind of you can experience this month, okay? And there is a stark contrast between the light and the shadow. And Four of Pentacles can be that stubbornness, and you're a fixed sign, right? You're fixed, so movement can be challenging for you. Change can be challenging for you, even though you are the sign that represents change. And I don't see change here per se, but we'll kind of see how the reading goes with additional cards. There can be that desire to not budge, to protect yourself too much, right? Because maybe there's something happening where it's like that vulnerability door is opening and you're like, nope, I'm gonna retreat back. I'm not gonna let someone in quite yet. I'm not quite ready for that. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles. This is a card of independence. You know, kings specifically, I would say, have a harder time surrendering their independence in the face of this vulnerability, right? In the face of connectedness. Now, I'm not saying you don't like to be in relationships, but I am saying that you don't like to lose your autonomy. And Nine of Pentacles represents stability of the self. It represents self-worth, self-value, self-love. It represents your own wealth, your independent financial wealth, okay? She also represents comfort, and she's a very welcoming figure. Now, I don't see this as a person per se, but it's almost as though this could be what you're sort of clinging on to that person that you know yourself to be. She's a disruption. No doubt about it. She's a disruption. She's come in and she's kind of, some of you she's welcome, others of you she's a little bit threatening because it means change. And maybe you have gone through so much change recently that even more change seems daunting. I feel like a lot of you are just soldiering on, right? Because Scorpio not only is ruled by Pluto, but also by Mars. And Mars is a warrior, and he doesn't shy away in the face of adversary. He just goes. And I do see this very marching like vibe, going straight into the moon, right? Straight into that subconscious, into that dream, into that imagination. You know, that place of you that tempts you to dream about something that is not realistic, that tempts you to set almost like the word magic is coming to my mind, like the part of you that tempts you with like insurmountable amounts of optimism. Now, the moon, being associated with Pisces, which rules the 12th house of the zodiac wheel, does represent losses. Now, I feel that I'm wondering if there is a fear of loss, which is why that Four of Pentacles, right? That clinging on, keeping everything kind of close to the vest. You're certainly guarded right now, certainly without a doubt. You're certainly walking on eggshells a little bit. You don't know how this is going to pan out. Some of you it will work out, others you it won't. It just is right now. But more than anything, you don't want to lose what you know. You don't want to lose what you understand. No, I'm making it dramatic. Not all of you, it's going to be so dramatic. And the Two of Pentacles. You don't have to try so hard to keep something out when clearly it wants to come in. She wants to come in. Look. She wants to come in. I feel like you are working very, very hard. It's like what? Protecting yourself from a potential crash and burn. Again, if you're in a relationship, if you are committed, if you are in love, if you're in a secure situation, it's just a little bit of a threat to that security. Do I think it's like a third party? No, I don't. I think it could just be like your partner getting distracted with a creative project that kind of shakes up your dynamic a little bit or something like that, okay? And Two of Pentacles, see, there's all this stuff on this little teeny tiny scooter. Eventually this stuff is going to get out of control and you're going to fall over, right? Eventually something's going to happen or something's going to fall off. So it's important for you to reduce the amounts of effort. Now, you don't have to try so hard to fight the flow, because first of all, you can't fight a major arcana. Two, you can't fight them. They're there. And these aren't even bad. You know, these aren't the dark ones. These aren't the hard ones. They're the ones that just force us to grow a little bit. I don't want those. Let's keep going. That's the one I want. The Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords represents that mental entrapment, you know, the mental aspect with the swords, keeping things confined, feeling restrained. I do feel like you feel very restricted. I don't know why. That Four of Pentacles is like there's that stubbornness there, and you're ready to give it all only if it proves to be safe or something. I don't know what it is, but Eight of Swords is, you know, that mental blockages, hang-ups, confusion, questions, all sorts of things, fears. I feel like there's this little teeny tiny voice inside of you that's just like screaming as loud as it can, but it's not very loud. And it's like, it's okay. You know, it's okay to break free, and I know how to do it, and I can help you do it. You're wanting to break free from whatever is hanging you up. And a lot of times the Eight of Swords does come from past experience. It does come from past heartbreak, from past divorces or difficult times or past failures. And so we can be blinded by these things. We can also be blinded by expectations, because sometimes something is so new or so like elusive, right? And we don't know whether to put faith in it or not. But it's like, well, if I'm going to give everything I got, then it better be huge. It better be real. It had better be legit. And if it is, I'm all in. But you know, there's that threat to you, that threat to yourself kind of thing. And the Two of Cups, the card of soulmates, or the card of love, the card of togetherness and proper negotiation and compromise and things working out, and two people coming to an agreement and walking side by side happily together. Okay, now that's the most promising way I could ever possibly end this reading. I'm going to pull 3 more cards, so there might be some more difficult things or there might be some more positive things that come out. But Two of Cups is the most wanted or coveted card in the deck for a lot of people, because it represents the soulmates. You know, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be soulmates in other ways, but a peaceful and positive outcome to whatever is going on. So this little disruption of yours is not as disruptive as you think. I feel that there is substance behind this facade of superficiality. There's depth here on both sides, okay? But you are going to have to walk into the shadows to find that vulnerability, to come in contact with fear, to come in contact with the things that scare you a little bit, you know? And the Knight of Swords. He's been making quite an appearance this month. Knight of Swords. Some of you could be dealing with a Gemini or another air sign, or you could be dealing with someone who's just really engrossed in what they're doing. Like, let's say, for example, that this is the face of this person. He's put it out there, or she's put it out there. This is what you get, right? But as you look deeper, you see someone that might not be totally paying attention to you, which makes you question things. But this is someone, I think, that is probably more afraid than you, but yet they've made an appearance. This represents both of you. It's not just you, it's not just them. It's like what you have together, I feel. Like just a little bit of, like, here it is. Here it is on the table, and let's see how it goes. You might be afraid that you need to get through a little bit more of a jungle in order to get to that substance. But I think this person is sort of afraid, like, because it's the Knight of Swords, right? And any sword or wand card might not be, even earth cards too, might not be as attuned to the depth of love, or to the depth there, right? And they themselves can also be dealing with this Eight of Swords situation. And they might be waiting for you to make it safe for them. Are you playing a little bit of a game of chicken, I wonder? Playing a little bit of who's going to make the next move? Who's going to start the conversation? Who's going to initiate, you know? I don't know what's happening. Let's see. And the Empress. Well, first of all, I love a King of Cups and Empress match. She's kind of like the grown-up version here, right? So this is the mask that you're both wearing, and here's the depths. I think, I don't know why I'm seeing this person as like the same. Normally I would never do that. I don't know where this one is coming from or why that came out, but it's almost as though this person is like, maybe it also is both of you too. Maybe this represents both, where you're just kind of keeping your head down and waiting for the other person to make the next move, which is silly because maybe the both of you are perfect for each other, or you're perfectly in line on some kind of an issue, or you're perfectly in agreement of where this should go, perfectly in agreement of what you both want, and yet you're playing this game of chicken for kind of almost no reason. Both afraid of being vulnerable, both afraid of being the one that caves first. I think they're equally as afraid, but, you know, let's see. The Empress, power of creation. I wouldn't be so afraid of whoever this person is or whatever this situation is. There's no need to be afraid. It's all going to work out okay. And a Page of Swords. So, you know, Page of Swords, let's put her with the Knight of Swords. There's curiosity, I believe, on both sides. Maybe some of you even see this Empress as being a little bit unattainable, or a little bit too perfect, or someone that's maybe just a little bit out of reach. Maybe this person is married, or maybe like this is someone that you just can't have, right? I don't know what it is. But this Page of Swords does represent the curiosity. It represents the knowledge. It represents the pathway, or the marketplace, if you will, through which you exchange ideas and through which you communicate. Be careful that you're not communicating in a like childish and superficial way, right? Like the only way to move this forward is to just talk about it, to open up your mouths and express your fears. This person is not afraid of your depths just as much as you aren't afraid of your depths. They might be afraid of letting themselves be vulnerable just as much as you are afraid as well. So it's like, it's kind of like you're both there, you both get it, you're both experiencing it in the same way, but you're both just kind of stepping up to the line, but you're not crossing over. It's going to require crossing over if you want the Two of Cups to happen. You know? I believe that as Saturn transits, I think things will become more smooth for you and things will become more solid and more predictable. This is a very unpredictable person or an unpredictable energy that can switch and go and up. And maybe that's kind of too much of what's happening right now, is you're both unpredictable for each other and you just don't know what move the other person is going to make. But see, you're not opponents in a game of chess. So why are you playing chess? Okay? I don't know what else to say. A deep reading, but not bad. I'm just going to leave you with that, I think. I wish you guys nothing but the best, all right? Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next month. Bye.